Hi everyone, I'm Alex Savage from KTVU Channel 2. Welcome here to a forum of candidates running for one seat on the Martinez City Council, District 4. For the first time, the Martinez City Council will be selected by districts. Previously, Martinez voters selected candidates for at-large positions. Council members in the city of Martinez each represent a specific district, and this race again is for District 4. Today's forum is sponsored by the Contra Costa Elections Division, Contra Costa Television, the League of Women Voters of Diablo Valley, and the League of Women Voters of West Contra Costa County. We're recording these roundtables here in the studio of Contra Costa Television. And the candidates kind enough to join us today, John Stevens, thank you for being here, and Debbie McKillop. Thank you so much for being here today. So we drew lots before the show to determine the speaking order. We're going to begin, John, with you. Let's talk about an issue that is a pressing one for so many families. It's the cost of living across the state in the city of Martinez. What will you do if elected to bring more affordable housing to the city of Martinez?
Well, as you know, housing is the most expensive cost that anyone has. And one of the things that I have said before, and I keep saying, is that I would like to see us look at infill housing in downtown Martinez. It's been discussed for a long time, but the can keep kicking it down the road and never do anything with it. And we really need to get on top of that. And this has been an issue that's gone on, but suddenly this year it's really come forward that it's a problem because the rents are going so high and housing prices for purchasing are going so high. And I think that will be one way to help increase the housing market, the homes that are available for people to rent or to buy. Another is that we're limited to 2 stories downtown. I think we need to look at raising that. It used to be taller. We have buildings that are 3 and 4 stories tall that are beautiful buildings. I don't see why we cannot look at changing the height limitation so that developers are able to build more affordable housing.
Okay. Debbie, what do you think? Are those good ideas? Would you like to see development ramped up, more housing being built in the downtown area?
Yes, as John mentioned, we're kind of a built-out community, so we're looking at opportunities to provide affordable housing, and in the downtown in particular. At my part in the City Council, we've made some steps to look for opportunities to build these more affordable housing. We've purchased Lot 4, which is a large lot downtown, which will be converted into a full parking lot, and eventually that one could be converted to housing. And again, the height allowance needs to be raised slightly so that we can have on the ground floor retail and have on the upper floors housing. We also have a train station downtown, and so we have an opportunity to build more high-density housing that's affordable to people, and it's next to the train track so people can get on it and have transportation. So the area around Granger's Wharf in downtown Martinez is a prime area where we can actually have housing, more of a high-density type transient housing down there, and we're looking at opportunities to convert those areas. Now this is areas that are on the, I would say, the south side of the train tracks, not on the East Bay Regional side, East Bay Regional Park side. It's on the other side, and that area can be fully developed, and I think that would be a great opportunity to have more people downtown Martinez to visit the restaurants and the businesses, and that's what we both want. I think it's going to happen.
You both spoke about the rising rent situation. What is it that you from a council standpoint, what measures can be taken to keep the cost of rent under control for people living in the city?
More affordable housing many times is smaller units, things that for seniors that want to downsize, they can go to smaller units. So we have to have opportunity to develop not only single-family homes, but also more of the high-density housing where people can have the opportunity to have their children live near them. We want homes that have multi-generational kind of opportunities where they have in-law units. So there's a variety of things that can be affordable to people. Certainly living in a home that has an in-law unit, you can can keep families together. They can have cost sharing. So we need to have opportunities for many different types of people depending on their social economic class, and also their interest in where they want to live and the types of yards they want to maintain. Maybe they don't want yards. We need to have a variety of opportunities available for people to have choices.
Okay.
Yeah.
John, what about you? What steps do you think the council can take to make sure that the low-income families in Martinez aren't squeezed out?
One of the things that happened a number of years ago is they developed the downtown specific plan, and that limited housing, which had been higher, down to 2 stories. So the first thing that needs to be done is our council needs to take the action to change that ordinance to be able to let us build higher again, and I would be all in favor of that. I would lead that. That would be one of the things I would bring forward first, because even if you change that, it's going to take a while for this housing stock to come forward, and we need to start looking at today, what's going to not happen for a couple of years, I fear, at the rate things go, knowing government process and construction and permits, etc. So that is one really important area. I think that if someone is going to do something that is moderate priced housing, we should look at if the city, can in some way work with them on the fees of the structure fees for the construction, because those fees can really start eating up. For example, one developer was telling me that an average 2,600 square foot home, which is large and far larger than what we would be talking about, but the fees are almost $100,000 now on that.
Yeah.
So quickly you've taken the price of the home and you haven't even built it yet, and you're getting out of reach of what's a reasonably priced property to live in.
All right, in line with the housing issue is the issue of homelessness in the city of Martinez. I know it's one that your city, along with so many other cities, struggles with. Do you think the city at this current time is doing enough to help the homeless population?
No, I think
Why
there's
not?
a couple of reasons. Unfortunately, we've had a shortage on our police staff because of funding issues, and we've got that worked out. We need to now get more focused on the homeless issue, but council also needs to work closer with their county supervisors. Our homelessness problem has increased for several reasons. One of those is that many people who were taken to Doctors Hospital in Richmond, which closed down, people are all now taken to County Hospital, and then once they're released, if they're homeless, their new home is Martinez. The same thing with the jailing system. So we need to work with our county commissioners on this problem of them bringing people and leaving them in Martinez and not seeing any way to bring their housing needs and all of their other needs forward by just saying, here, it's Martinez's problem, and it shouldn't be that way.
Do you think, as someone who sat on the council for the past 4 years, do you think that enough has been done to address the issue of homelessness?
Well, I think we are the first city to have a core team, which is a group of advocates that come out and help the homeless. Any citizen can dial 211, and it will activate a group of people that will go down, engage with someone homeless, try to find them services, try to find an opportunity for them to get off the street so that we can give them some services. Because we really want these people to be productive members of society. We don't want them to be homeless, and so we want to be able to extend services to them. So we're going to be expanding that, and that will be helpful to the community. But I do agree with John. We have a hospital in town, the county hospital, and the county jail. So that does attract people that need services and help, and when they're done, they are on our streets. So we do need to work collaboratively with the hospitals and with the sheriff's office as well, who controls the jails, so there can be ways in which these people, once they're released, can get back to the communities where they have their support system, where they have their network of supporters, so they're not on our streets. And I think we are working that way to do that, so that we don't have this influx of people that don't have an opportunity to get back to their support system. And the core team has been a very good model, and it's being expanded throughout our city and the county.
Okay. Let's talk about how to ensure that the city of Martinez is fiscally sound. I want to ask you, John, about what you think the budgetary priorities should be. I mean, if you are elected to the council, how do you shift things? Where are the priorities? Where are the cuts coming from?
Well, The people are being offered an opportunity this year to vote on Measure X, which is a sales tax increase. If that goes through, it's going to give us a lot of opportunity that we currently don't have. If that doesn't pass, as our city manager has told us, we're going to have draconian cuts on our staff. So then we're going to have to look at what do we do bare bones. So I'm going to look at it in terms of if that passes, where we can go from there. And my priorities for that is, one, maintain our reserve so we always have money for those rainy days or those tsunamis as they sometimes could be, and that we also start paying down some of the debt. As you know, this year we ended up with some debt that we had to borrow some money to pay some taxes for Social Security. I wouldn't see part of that being wiped out. But the two expenditures that we need to look at as priorities, first is our police. We need to keep funding them so that they can be active in the community, do the things that they need. We don't currently have an SRO in our schools, so that's a priority. And we also need the next spending level, I would say, is on our infrastructure, our streets, and our quickly deteriorating street mains that are breaking, and when they break, they create more problems. They create more street problems.
All right, Debbie. Let me ask you. I mean, sitting on the council, what steps have you and your fellow council members taken to ensure the financial stability of Martinez moving forward?
Well, this year we've looked at all of our priorities, both on our police, our water distribution center, all of the infrastructure, and we realize, looking at our fiscal goals in the future, that we do need to do something to have more revenue to support the quality of life in Martinez. We have a lot of services. We're a service-based organization, and in order to to keep the services that we have, we really need to find some more revenue. And we're hoping that the citizens of Martinez will look at Measure X and decide for themselves if they want to prioritize these services in our community. These services include police response, 911. They also are our water distribution center. Like, as you mentioned, we've had water main breaks. We're a city that's somewhat aged, and so we want to make sure these amenities are available to people. So we need to look at that. Now, if for some reason that doesn't pass, and I'm hoping it will, because I think people do want to invest in their community, they want to have the quality of life that they're used to in Martinez, and we'd like to provide that to them. But we would have to make some significant cuts to services, and we don't want to do that. We want to have senior centers. We want to have children's youth opportunities, recreation. We want to continue to have our roads maintained, which they are under Measure D.
Let me ask you about the infrastructure. I mean, with the issue of the broken water mains in mind, it's certainly top of mind for a lot of people in the city. Is the city spending enough on infrastructure at this juncture?
We're spending as much as we can afford on infrastructure. We have completed this report that looks at our water distribution center, it looks at our water treatment center, and we have a priority list in which we need to work through in order to build those infrastructure pieces. We have some challenges ahead, and we really need to prioritize. But we do have an aging system because we're an aged community, and so there is expenses associated with ensuring the adequate delivery of the water and our services. So yes, we do have some challenges ahead.
And John, what about you? What would you say should be done in terms of infrastructure spending, with the issue of the water mains in mind for people in the city of Martinez? How do you fix things?
Well, you can't fix things without money.
That is true.
And
yes.
where we are right now is
Where do you get it from?
That's the answer, and I'm going to answer it in that way. I think we need to be looking at how we generate revenue other than just from taxes. For example, the amphitheater downtown, which gets used 6 or 8 times a year for different events, is a great opportunity to have cultural and different events down there that would bring revenue to the city. And I think that's important to do. I think we need to look a little closer at how we market our downtown area and bring people downtown. And we really keep talking about it, but it's time to do something about it, and that is the waterfront that's been talked about for over a decade. We need to do some things down there that will entice people to start coming there. And I relate this to what retailers do. They put children's clothing upstairs because they know mom's got to go up there and get it, and they send her first through shoes and handbags that are enticing and cosmetics.
Okay.
And
All right.
that's what we should do.
All right,
and
so
use
let's talk
the waterfront
about
in
the
that
waterfront
way.
and the downtown area. I mean, obviously, it's certainly an up-and-coming area, but there's a lot more that I know both of you would like to see done. So how do you improve the vibrancy of downtown Martinez? How do you get people? How do you get more people down there? What steps?
I've heard from many people they want a nice restaurant to go out to in Martinez in the evening, out on the waterfront, something that has some ambiance where they could really enjoy themselves. And people saying, and we'd like to see something like a sandwich shop. I can just go and grab lunch and sit out at the park and enjoy my lunch, whether it's with the family on the weekends or if it's on your lunch break, if you work for the county hospital, that sort of thing.
How do you get the businesses to move in?
Well, we have to work with the state on agencies first to be able to do that. We have to have a plan that we put together of what we expect to do so that it can be approved by the state. The businesses are already talking about, a number of businesses have talked about wanting to go there. I don't think getting them is going to be the problem. It's us doing the governmental work that needs to be done to allow them to be there.
All right. Making downtown Martinez.
So there's a couple of things that I just want to go over. So last year we started the Community Economic Development Department. And that's Christina Radcliffe and Zach Seal. And so we haven't had that opportunity before to look at business-to-business ventures. We're looking at advocating for Martinez. Their role is to look at where Martinez can brand itself, how we can entice businesses to come to our community, and where we want to target these businesses to attract them to our city. So that's their role. So hopefully with the development of that department, we can seek additional revenue through business-to-business ventures and attracting new business. Now, that's one thing. The next thing is the Marina Master Plan, as John alluded to. About 4 years ago, we were able to now have opportunity to look at the marina and master plan the marina for what it is that Martinez wants. And I can tell you from talking to the citizens, as John has mentioned, we want to have a marina that's vibrant. We want to have our marina improved. We also want to have a restaurant. We like to have maybe even a hotel and a small little convention center, a place where people can have weddings, they can enjoy the area, recreational activities, and things like that. So that's what we really want to focus on, because that's what people want. They want to go down to the marina, have something to eat, get an ice cream, play with their kids, walk around in the park. Yeah. That's what's attracting people there. And see the ball game, go see a Clippers game.
All right, sounds lovely. Let me ask you, if you, Debbie, if you could change one thing in the city of Martinez's zoning code, what specifically do you think needs to be adjusted?
Well, in the zoning code, I know there's been some challenges recently about open space, private and public lands. I want to make sure that people who have land, who are private property owners, have the ability to develop their land as they see fit within the proper zoning, but they need to be able to have opportunities to build if they choose to. So that's important. The other thing that we mentioned about downtown is to have the height ordinance lifted so that people can come in and build so that they could have multi-layer homes, apartments and residential and retail, combined. That's important. That's going to be really important, because the more people we bring downtown close to our transit centers, they're going to frequent those restaurants and businesses. They're going to share with their friends and neighbors how Martinez is changing, and then we're going to get more of an influx of people into our community, people that want to be there. We attract a lot of young families, and they want these amenities. We have, wonderful school system, and it's a very hometown community, and I want to continue to grow that.
John, same question to you. I think you alluded to this earlier, but what would you change with the city's zoning code?
So briefly, one of the zoning codes would be the height restriction downtown. That would be one of the most important.
Anything else?
That's one of the most important, but I also believe that we need to look again at how individuals can develop their private property. We've recently passed an ordinance that may be too restrictive for that, and it's something we need to massage. It's very contentious, but I think it's a dialogue that's not finished yet. I think there's some give and take on both sides that we can work with there. And in terms of downtown, by getting that housing down there, it will help dramatically. We're really fortunate in Martinez that we have the Amtrak station, which is a full-service station, and right by it we have the hub for the buses, the County Connection, WestCat, etc. You can get from there by bus to almost anywhere in the county, and so people could live downtown and go elsewhere to work, or live elsewhere and come downtown to work, and it will make it much more vibrant. We're unfortunately losing one of our bus routes, and we need to work hard at keeping our bus routes and more that will service downtown, that will help, that will work and integrate with the zoning change for more housing downtown.
So if you are elected to the council, what would you say your top priority is going to be in office?
Safety.
What needs to be addressed?
We need more police officers on the streets, which if we pass Measure X will happen. And one of the things I'm concerned about is we really don't have an emergency awareness program in the city. And I've asked people as I've gone around, if there's a disaster, if there's an earthquake or there's a fire and you lose your home, do you know where to go? Do you know where there is a shelter in place? And none of them has been able to answer that question. We are not prepared in our city for a disaster. I happen to know where there's one, but it's on the other side of town from me. And that is something that we need to work on, and it probably would be best if we worked on it with Contra, Costa Fire Department, so that they know where the people are going. You see this automatically down in Florida. When there's a disaster, people know where to go. Unfortunately for them, they have more than we have, so they know about that. But we need to make sure we have that in place, and that has to work with our police department for that purpose, as well as crime, keeping down crime in the city. And I think that is really the most important issue.
Debbie, what do you think on the issue of public safety? I mean, given the financial constraints that you face, do you think that the city has adequately addressed public safety?
I think that we need to hire more police officers, and we need to be able to attract and retain quality candidates. So we definitely need to put our money into our police department, because the police are the #1 entity out there that's protecting our citizens. I've worked for the sheriff's office here for the past 10 years, so I know what it's like when crime comes into your neighborhood. And we need to have a strong police force in order to suppress that. We don't want to be victimized on our streets. We don't want our cars broken into. We don't want our homes broken into. So we really have to invest in making our police department strong, which is attracting and retaining and keeping those officers that we need to protect ourselves. So that is #1 in my book. But there's plenty of other necessities in our city, because we're service-oriented. Like I mentioned, you know, we have water infrastructure, we have other things, other services people rely on, and that's very important. But to talk about the emergency plan, our police chief is working with the community advocates to have a safety plan. But what the citizens can do is they can be a part of the CERT team. So I was just past the CERT training just this past year, and that's the Community Emergency Response Team. And these are citizens that learn how to help their families and their neighborhoods and their communities during disaster. They actually have a place where they rendezvous and they meet within their neighborhoods and look at assisting law enforcement, because if there's a major disaster, we do not have enough police and fire in our community to be everywhere at the time that they is needed. So it's important that our citizens also empower themselves and learn about how they can help their own community. I mean, this is a community. So I would say look into CERT, and hopefully that will help.
Thank you for that response. And I appreciate both of you being here today, and thank you for answering some of these important questions that the people of Martinez have. And each candidate is now going to have 2 minutes to make a closing statement, and we will begin with Debbie McKillop.
Okay. So serving Martinez as your councilwoman has been my greatest honor. I'm proud of the accomplishments that we have made together over the past 4 years. Some of these have been creating pathways to repair and repave our roads, acquiring and preserving 44 acres of open space and gifting it to the National Park Service to expand Mount Wanda. We've balanced the Martinez budgets. We've hired an outstanding police chief that's leading us forward, who's been committed to testing all sexual assault kits to ensure that we convict sex offenders and keep our city safe. We've found funding for sidewalks and crosswalks in the Tavan Estates area so that residents can cross safely into Golden Hills Parks and to the Virginia Hills area. We've seen the creation of our first dog park and our first baseball team. And we've been able to dedicate a park to our beloved mayor, Johnny Sparacino. Now, I'm from Martinez. I'm a fourth-generation Martinez resident, Alhambra High School graduate, class of '80, go Bulldogs. I have a bachelor's degree in chemistry and environmental studies and a master's degree in public administration. I've taken the time to educate myself and to be able to be aware of the issues around me. I'm a single parent, and I have twin daughters that I raised in Martinez. I also serve the citizens of Contra Costa County as the Sheriff's Crime Lab Manager. I've dedicated 32 years of my life to public service as a forensic scientist. I've supported 24 law enforcement agencies and over 1 million people with crime scene response, DNA, fingerprinting, gunshot residue, bloodstain pattern analysis. This work has taught me to be a good listener and also a critical thinker. I can analyze and solve complex problems. If re-elected, I will tackle our future challenges, and we have many, and ensure transparency and accountability in City Hall. And that's important. The citizens need to know what happens at City Hall, and they need to be able to view that and see that. I've earned the endorsement of the Martinez Police Officers Association, the Deputy Sheriff's Association, the Contra Costa Firefighters, the Building Trades, the Central Labor Council, our Congressman Mike Thompson, our mayor and council members. I would be honored to receive your vote in November. Thank you. So we can continue to work together.
Okay. Thank you for that, Debbie. John Stevens, your closing statement. Thank you.
Thank you for listening today or this evening, whichever it may be, and thanks to our hosts for doing this today. There are a few things I wanted to point out where I'm a little bit different in what has been going on. I am more cautious in spending. We start our years off with a balanced budget, but then we add to it each year. I want to be sure that each year we finish with a balanced budget. And one of the things that people oftentimes don't realize is that if you borrow money so that you don't have to pay the bill, you can balance your budget as long as you want to. That's like taking your Visa bill and saying we're making the minimum payment and you just keep running your bill up. We need to pay our bills in full. I've been involved in the city for a long time. I've made almost every city council meeting for over 6 years now, and I was the CEO of the Martinez Chamber of Commerce. So I'm very aware of what goes on in our city and the functions of the city. I do have a master's in public administration focusing on policy and management. Those are two very important issues in running our city. I've also been a small business owner. I owned a construction company, so I understand a lot about construction. That is a major part of our budget. Whether it is on our parks, our streets, or other infrastructure. And it's something that really needs to be understood and understand how contractors work and be able to know the questions to ask before you say spend. I think it's really important that everyone in the community should have more of a voice than what they have. City council meetings do not give adequate time. It's 3 minutes on spot issues. I believe we need to be out in the community, having community town hall meetings more often to hear what the people are wanting so that you don't just hear from us every 4 years when we run for office and we come to your door, which I've been doing, and meeting you. We need to have more of a personal approach with the people in our city, and we clearly need transparency. It is something that I've seen is sometimes lacking. You have to really ask the questions of City Council to get the information you want. Thank you for being here with us this evening, and I ask for your vote in November.
Thank you. And that concludes our forum of candidates running for the office of Martinez City Council. And once again, the candidates are John Stevens and Debbie McKillop. For more information on these two candidates, you can visit the website votersedge.org. And if you want to view this broadcast online, you can go to cocovote.us. I'm Alex Savage from KTVU, Channel 2. Please don't forget to vote on November 6th. And the deadline to register is coming up October 22nd. Thanks so much for watching. Take care.